You wouldn't download a car. Honesty is always the best policy. And recently, two games companies have had a very different approach to that. We're going to be talking about two things. First up, a company who were quite dishonest with what they did, and then a company which has been very open and very honest about the development of one of their upcoming titles. Without further ado, let's get into it. So first up, we've got Bungie, a company who were once famous for the Halo games as well as the Destiny series of games. They've come under fire for the way that they've been handling their new extraction shooter, Marathon. So for those of you that haven't seen the news, Marathon has got this graphic realism art style that they're calling it, which looks very reminiscent of games like Mirror's Edge, but it also looks very reminiscent of a certain Twitter users, or X users, whatever you want to call it, artwork that they did back in 2017. And you can see here that the artist N2, who goes by the name Anti-Real on Twitter, has said that the game was littered with artwork stolen from posters that they made back in 2017. What makes this even weirder is that the art director and a bunch of other artists over at Bungie follow this person on Twitter. And it's not like they've just gone, oh, the art style is very similar. No, you can see there's direct rips of this. The artwork has been directly copied. At some points, some of it's not even been scrubbed out properly and altered. It literally still says their name on there, Anti-Real. So it's really weird that they've done this. But what's worse than just this? Well, I say what's worse than this. Obviously, stealing is very wrong, all right? Stealing artwork, especially in this day and age with the whole sort of advent of AI generated work and people's response to that, which I will say from a gamer point of view, it's been very nice to see that gamers are saying, no, we do not want this in our games. We want to have real people making it. And I'm someone who believes that. I believe that real people should be behind all of this stuff. Real art is way, way better than some AI's version of art. But I digress. Stealing the artwork is terrible. The way that Bungie's handle it is just as bad. Bungie has gone out of their way to state that it wasn't a current member of the team that has done this, but it's actually someone who no longer works for the company, and it was put in a long time ago. Big if true. However, there's a bit of a funny side to this in that Bungie did hold a Marathon live stream to give people a preview of how that game was going to be and shed some more details on it. But they didn't show any of the game, probably due to the fact that they were scared that more artwork and more assets that were going to be shown were actually plagiarized and stolen from someone else. It's one thing to have someone's artwork in there and accredit them for it with all the correct permissions. It's another thing to directly steal from them and never credit them for it. There's an article linked in the description from the game post which goes over all of this, as well as an article from a couple of years back where they're talking about the art style. Ironically there, no one mentions the fact that they're stealing the artwork for it. Now, yes, the whole sort of graphic realism style isn't new and it's not something that was stolen for this, so it's hard to say that the look of the game was stolen. But it does beg the question that if they hadn't used the artwork by N2, would this actually still be the same looking game? A lot of people aren't exactly excited for Marathon, and it's a shame because it's Bungie and they hold a special place in a lot of people's heart. A lot of people grew up playing Halo, or Halo came out at a very important time of life for them, and then the memories people had with Destiny and Destiny 2 and playing online with their friends. It's really hard to see a games company like Bungie fall from grace so far, especially in an industry where big titles from big companies are not going the way that they want them to go. It would not surprise me if this is maybe the last release we see from Bungie if this doesn't go well. I know that's a bit doom and gloom, and I would never want to see a studio shut, and I would never want to see a bunch of people out of work, because the people in the games industry are usually pretty amazing. I would really hope that all the ones who can jump ship do jump ship. There's also reports out there of the morale at Bungie being at an all-time low. Statements such as leadership need to change and the vibes are off. I don't know what that means. I'm old, but it's really not a good sign when your brand new game coming out has got loads of publicity, but it's all for plagiarism. And apparently this isn't the first time that Bungie have been done for something like this. There was apparently an issue with Destiny where they stole artwork there as well for one of the Destiny games. They're also going through litigations for the story of one of the Destiny games being stolen, apparently. There's so much going on with that studio right now that it's not giving me high hopes that it's gonna be an amazing thing. I do hope Marathon works out for them. It's not my cup of tea. I hate extraction shooters. Games like Escape from Tarkov just do not appeal to me whatsoever, and I know this is going to be a very similar experience in that respect. But what I will say is give the artists their flowers where it's due, give them the respect they deserve, make sure that you are supporting people out there, paying them for their artwork, hiring them to work for you if they love their artwork so much. It's just really disappointing to see this happen, and that's it really. A lot of us with this whole situation, we're not upset, we're not angry, we're just disappointed. On the flip side of this, I want to talk about Nintendo. Shocker, I know. Now with Mario Kart World coming out in just over a week's time, Nintendo have started to share a little bit more information about the development of that title. Nintendo Life has got a great article here going over a bunch of topics with it, and it's linked down below in the description if you want to give it a read afterwards. But one of the interesting things is Mario Kart World wasn't designed for the Switch 2 initially. This game was apparently going to come out for the Switch 1 due to the huge size of what they wanted to do and how they wanted to make it feel like such an expansive world. In order to get it to fit and play on the Switch 1, so many sacrifices would have been made. Things such as cutting down the graphical quality, cutting the resolution down, and even cutting the frame rate down. Mario Kart is a game that requires you to have a smooth gameplay experience, and if that frame rate drops below 60 for too long and it becomes noticeable, it's not good. And playing that game at 30 frames a second would have been horrific. I know a lot of people out there say they can't tell the difference between 30 and 60, and to that I just say you're wrong. There's a clear difference. You try playing a racing game in 30 frames a second and tell me it's as enjoyable as playing it in 60. It's not. But it wasn't only the graphical stuff that was really interesting to hear about, it's the way that they talked about the characters and what they were going to do in the meantime when they realized that they couldn't actually bring this to the Switch 1, which kind of leads a lot of people to believe that that's the reason why we had that booster pack come out with all the different courses on it, just to kind of tide people over until they could get the full game out. And it's really, really fun to know that the actual reason why we have all the sort of side characters now that we're getting in the game is because of the cow. Yes, that's right, the cow. Apparently one of the people on the team just threw around the idea of putting the cow into a cart. They made it look visually appealing and made it work, and that just sparked everyone else to think about all the other characters that sort of appear on the side of the track or as obstacles on the course, how they could become characters to race with. It's really nice to see Nintendo sort of give us a peek behind the curtain to see what goes on there, because they were a company for a long time that were very secretive with a lot of things, and it's really nice to see them open up and just share a lot more information. And I think it lets the fans see the company in a different light with a more human element to it. It's really good to see that a game which a lot of people are excited for, myself included, had really humble beginnings. And it's really nice to see that the whole idea of having this open world where people could race between courses wasn't just something they came up with for the Switch 2, it was something that they wanted from the get-go. Have a read of the article, there's a lot of stuff in there which will open your eyes, and it's just quite nice to hear about the history of this title. So we got an exciting couple of weeks coming up now with the launch of the Switch 2 and all the titles that are coming out with that. It's going to be really fun. I'm really excited for it, and I'm just praying that launch goes really smoothly. I am gutted that there won't be a midnight launch that I'll be attending, which was really one of the highlights for me when I went to the PS5 one. It was really fun, and the Switch one before that. Fingers crossed launch goes smoothly. It's going to be really interesting to bring a bunch of content out for it. Got a lot of good, hopefully good plans for content. Hope you enjoy it all, and I appreciate you all being here for it. But if we do play Mario Kart Online, I am out for blood.